Spawn points should be removed.
What the hell did you just say?
Now, before you pick up your torches and pitchforks, allow me to explain why the ability to select your spawn point is secretly ruining the game. Right off the bat, you have a few questions. Why is the ability to select your spawn bad? Isn't it a great quality of life feature? Wrong.
You have been cheated and lied to!
The spawn system is a wolf in sheep's clothing. Underneath the veneer of a small quality of life feature is the wretched truth that it is largely responsible for the blight of carnivore hotspots, along with several smaller issues. Let's start with a quick explanation of hotspots and what I call carnivore hotspots. Hotspots are locations that players tend to congregate at. They are inevitable. Players crave interaction, and carnivores require it to survive. Like a river, they cannot be stopped, but they can be diverted. The migration system is the best attempt yet to control hotspots by controlling where herbivores go and forcing them to move to other points of interest occasionally. Carnivore hotspots, on the other hand, are hotspots in which an entirely carnivorous ecosystem is established, meaning that migrations have no effect on them. Northeast Plains and to a lesser extent East Plains have been the hotspots since the Dilo and Herrera update, with the rest of the map being practically abandoned as a result. Before that update, Northeast Plains was semi-popular, while East Plains was relatively quiet, but all of that changed with the AI changes that accompanied the update. AI was extremely scarce and became tied to players, meaning that locations with more players would be more likely to spawn AI. With no AI to eat outside of hotspots, carnivore players chose the spawns that pretty much every carnivore had, because doing otherwise invariably resulted in starvation. These spawns were Northeast Plains and East Plains. It didn't help that the two new dinosaurs also had spawns there, contributing to the density of players in this area. Once the AI situation was fixed, and a bit overcorrected in my opinion, people continued to hotspot in Northeast Plains and East Plains regardless, as old habits die hard. This behavior was noted by the devs, who removed the Northeast Plains spawn point, replacing it with the Northern Jungle spawn point, and removed Tanotosaurus' migration from the area. I haven't seen how this change affected Northeast Plains as a hotspot since the patch dropped due to... This is so bad! Oh no, it's about to top of me! Please! Reasons. But, from my experience in the horde testing for that patch, it worked. Simply moving the spawn to a middle-of-nowhere jungle decreased the population of Northeast Plains considerably. It also had another effect. East Plains became twice as much of a hotspot to compensate. Carnivore players simply moved to the other spawn that they all shared. At first I thought the solution would be for the devs to move the East Plains spawn into a middle-of-nowhere jungle as well. But then I realized that would just make South Plains a carnivore hotspot. The same change would have to be done to South Plains, then Highlands, then Swamp, etc., etc. Okay, what if we put every carnivore in a different spawn? Sure, maybe that works while we only have 5 terrestrial carnivores and roughly 10-ish spawn points, but what about when we have 15 plus carnivores? It never ends. These are band-aids, temporary fixes that don't address the root issue: spawn points. The fundamental flaw with spawn points is that they have an outsized impact on player behavior. This is proven by the fact that the addition of a spawn point for a new playable can create a new hotspot, while the removal of a spawn point can completely destroy a hotspot. There is an optimal location to spawn for every playable. If you're a carnivore, just choose a hotspot so you can scavenge something, and if you're a herbivore, just choose whatever spawn happens to be closest to a sanctuary. That's it. Every other spawn point besides that optimal spawn point becomes redundant, and as a result people will overwhelmingly choose the same spawn point. The fundamental flaw with spawn points doesn't stop at creating and maintaining herbivore hotspots. It's also responsible for metagaming behavior like groups spawning in a baby stego, killing it, then the stego respawning with them as a carnivore, and everyone in said group getting full-on food and a perfect diet as fresh spawns for free. It disincentivizes nesting because choosing the spawn point closest to your friend is superior in every way to being nested in by said friend. And what does the current spawn system provide in return? What are the upsides that counterweigh all these issues? It allows you to easily spawn together with your friends, and oh wait, that's it. That's literally it. The spawn system, this thing, responsible for so much wrong with the game, masquerades as a good quality of life feature by slightly conveniencing you at the cost of your actual gameplay experience. I say that with no exaggeration. The absolute apex of my experiences in the Isle has never come from deathmatching in hotspots. It comes from organic instances of survival. Tracking a herd of Tinnos with a Serato pack and ambushing them in the woods. Running into a Carno as a herd of galleys and flocking away down a narrow cliffside path. Protecting herd mates from a chance encounter with a Dilo at night. These are experiences that we are missing out on, nay, being robbed of. And what do we stand to gain when we shrug off the shackles of the current spawn system? A solution to all of the issues I have stated thus far, and more. Let's say we nuke the current spawn system from orbit and return to randomized spawns. Put every randomized spawn on a beach or inside a jungle, then make a separate randomized spawn pool for aquatics so that they spawn in water. Now, carnivore hotspots are much harder to maintain without the constant influx of fresh meat. Now people are forced to explore the map instead of sitting at their cuddle puddle of choice for their entire life from birth to death. Migrations have a greater opportunity to shine for carnivores. Juvies will be more active in moving across the map every which way, creating opportunities for predation. Groups will have to rendezvous from disparate locations instead of all spawning in one spot. We stand to gain all of this at the cost of what ultimately amounts to a minor inconvenience. In conclusion, spawn points delenda est.